Hello folks, and welcome to the third video in my FIFA 12 manual controls tips and tricks series, where I'm trying to get more people playing on manual controls. If this is the first video you have seen of the series, I recommend you go and watch the first two bits, which are linked in the description below, where I give an overview of what manual controls are and I explain how to set them up and the online options for using them. If you've already seen them, or if you already know all that and just want a bit more information, then stick with this video and let's go. In this video, I will be talking about the differences between manual controls and the default controls, and then I will talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using manual. But before that, I do have one extra piece of information for people who saw the previous video. Since making that, I have been told that I was slightly incorrect when I was talking about full manual controls. As it turns out, the auto switching option here, which you can see is set to airballs at the minute, you are allowed to set that to airballs and it will still be classed as full manual controls. And in fact, I would very much recommend that to anyone, simply because the manual switching is a bit broken in FIFA 12. So if you set it to airballs, you'll find things a lot easier, and it is still classed as full manual. So I recommend that to anyone who wants to make the switch. Anyway, on to the subject of this video. First of all, I'm going to go over the things which stay the same when you use full manual controls. So, big list, here we go. We've got dribbling, skill moves, defending, assuming that you don't have manual auto switching, direct free kicks, i.e. shooting from a free kick, penalties, using the long pass button in pretty much any set piece situation, and in fact using the through pass button only for throw-ins is the same. It changes with the other ones, I'll get to that in a minute. And also kicking using your goalkeeper, as in kicking it out of his hands, so if he's picked the ball up, then kicking it out of his hands. Those are the same on manual and assisted. There is no change whatsoever, there is no difference between them. I have tested these in the arena, so I'm pretty confident that I am right on all of these, although if you think otherwise, please do tell me, and then I will do my best to correct it. Moving on from that to the things that change. As you can see on the right, I've got the list up of all the things that are manual, so these things are going to be pretty obvious. Passing, through passing, lob passing, crossing. I'll do those four first. Basically what happens is you now are responsible for aiming it precisely. You aim precisely where you want, and assuming you get the aim right, that's where the ball will go. And it goes with the amount of power that you apply, or the pass is weighted with the amount of power you apply, or something like that. Shooting is the same. The amount of power you put on it is the amount of power it'll have, and it goes in the direction you aim. And also goalkeeping, as in if you use Be a Pro mode goalkeeping, it's basically just a bit more tricky on manual if you play that mode. I'll give you a couple of quick examples. If I take an example here, I'm using through passing for this example. Now normally what would happen is if you play a through ball here in this situation, you might either decide to go over the top of the defence, or you might play a ground one and it would roll maybe 5-10 yards in front of him, and then he's going to have the difficult job of sort of running while battling with the defender or whatever. What you can do using manual is you can deliberately play it a good 25-30 yards in front of him. That means that the winger can use his pace to get away from the defender, and basically gives you a free chance in on goal. And as you can see here, managed to get a goal there. And then here another example, similar to the one in the first introductory video. This is just going to be a crossing example. When you get into a crossing position, instead of having to throw it randomly in the box, you can deliberately try and pick someone out. So if you see here, what I can do, instead of throwing it in amongst all of the defenders in the box, I can deliberately play it away from the defenders, and obviously that means that my striker's got a free chance in on goal, and as it so happens I score a bit of a ridiculous volley. That's quite a unique goal. But that's just a couple of quick examples of the benefits of the changes that you have when you swap to full manual controls. And there are more changes than just that. You might remember I mentioned some of the things that are the same with set pieces. Here are the things that are different: ground passing or through passing from a free kick, ground passing from a corner, ground passing from a goal kick, short throw-ins as in using A to do a short throw-in, throwing with the goalkeeper, and also the effect of some player stats. Now the last one I'm going to go into detail on a later video. I'm not going to go into too much detail of that here, but basically I'm just going to say that different players' stats have more of an effect or less of an effect on things on assisted. and on manual some of the stats become a lot less important. But I'm going to go over that in detail in a future video. I'll just give you a quick example of using manual controls of the set piece. The ball now goes exactly where you aim if you use the A button, so it means that you can, using a created set piece here, pass it into a big space. It just opens the defence up, and then a brilliant goal. The clip used there is by someone called HakeyX360. He makes a lot of really good manual controls videos. There's a link in the description for his channel. Go check that out for more stuff like that. But that was just another example of some of the stuff you can do on manual. Anyway, now I will move on to the second part of the video, which is the advantages and disadvantages of manual controls. I'll do the advantages first. I think there are 3 major advantages. The first of which is the one I've been going on about a fair bit over the course of these first 3 videos, which is that you get more control. There's more freedom to your play. On assisted, a lot of the time the game decides for you what's going to happen. You know, it was the example I gave earlier with the through ball. You might want it to go into a massive space, and you can do that on manual, whereas on assisted it might decide for you that it's only going to go 5 or 10 yards ahead of him. So you get a lot more control in where you place the ball with your passes, with your crosses and things like that. And I think having that level of decision is a huge advantage to manual. The second one is that it's more realistic. If you're someone who's tired of people who do nothing but try and score finesse shots all the time, that just doesn't happen on manual. You get a much more realistic game. People will pass the ball around a lot more, build attacks slowly in general, and it just plays a much more realistic game. If you're not after a realistic game, if you want the sort of arcadey style that FIFA has on assisted, then you know that's up to you. But if you're someone who wants what resembles a football simulation, then you definitely should give manual a go, because FIFA on full manual controls really is actually, all things considered, a pretty good simulation of real football. So that is a big plus to manual. But I think the biggest plus is that it is more pleasurable. Maybe not pleasurable, that makes it sound like a condom advert. More rewarding, that'll do. More rewarding, more satisfying. You won't understand that until you play or switch from assisted to manual, but you'll realise that when you use manual, because you are placing absolutely everything, that every goal you score really is you scoring it. It's not the game doing it for you. Even something like just a one-on-one, which you would think nothing of on assisted, just, you know, curl it around the goalkeeper. If you do that on manual, you know that you've placed it perfectly in the corner or whatever. You know, it's much better. It's just every single goal you score, you know you did it, and every mistake you make, you know that you made it. You don't have to complain about the game passing it in the wrong place or whatever. I think that's a huge advantage to manual, is the fact that everything you do is more rewarding. If I give you an example here, this is just a game I played not all that long ago, but every sort of pass I know that I've placed it perfectly, I've weighted it perfectly, and it's just, instead of on assisted where it's literally just kind of mindless tapping the button repeatedly. So if you see here, my player makes a run and I have to aim that perfectly, weight it perfectly, and then produce a great finish into the top corner. You know, and I was really pleased with being able to score that goal, because I know that I did everything, and you just don't get that feeling on assisted. So those are the advantages. And now to the disadvantages. I'm just going to touch on these briefly. I don't think any of them are that major, to be honest. But the first one is that there is no manual filter in either Ultimate Team or Pro Clubs. The filter that exists on the head-to-head seasons modes just isn't there for Ultimate Team or Pro Clubs, which can be a bit of a pain if you play those modes an awful lot. But I play Ultimate Team quite a bit, and I use full manual controls in every game, and I still win more than I lose. So it's not too much of a problem, I don't think. But that's open to interpretation, I guess. Kind of linked to that one is the second disadvantage, which is the size of the community. If you play at unusual times, you might sometimes struggle to find a game, simply because probably about 95% of players will use assisted or any controls, and not that many will use manual. The size of the manual community is growing every day, I think, and so this problem is going to get become less and less of a problem as time goes on. But at the minute, just if you play at some weird times, you might sometimes struggle to find a match. But you should never have to wait that long, and I never have a problem personally, actually, but that might just be when I play. And the last disadvantage, which is an interesting one, is the learning curve. If you're going to try and convert to manual, you need to give it more than 5 minutes. I know people who've had a look at manual, thought it sounds interesting, tried it in the arena for 2 minutes, decided that they can't do it, and then just given up, which is a real shame. You do have to stick with manual for a little bit, and then once you get the hang of it, it will all become so much easier, and you'll improve so quickly. But it's just getting over that sort of first hurdle of getting the hang of placing all your passes and getting shots on target and things that some people find difficult. But I've got friends who don't even own an Xbox and will play on manual controls because I got them to play it a little bit, and once they got the hang of it, you don't lose it. It's like riding a bike. You don't forget once you get the hang of it. And they play manual and absolutely love it. They think it's so much better. So it's difficult when you first start, but in order to help people with that, that is why I'm making these videos. So that is the end of this video. I realise it's quite a bit longer than the other ones, but there was a lot of information to get through, which I think was quite important. So if you want to avoid the problems of the learning curve, the next video will be a video about sort of getting started, advice on how to play manual for the first time and what to do. That is the next video. The link to that will be in the description below once I have finished it. And if you are going to keep with manual, there will be more tutorials coming soon. Hopefully you liked this video, enjoyed it, found it useful or whatever. If you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and play manual.